everyone, I'm Michelle from A Common Life, and today I wanted to share with you my top 5 misconceptions about homeschooling. Now first, let me give credit where credit is due. I saw this idea on Ashley's channel, Grace and Grit, and I will link to that down in the description box below. She shared her top 5 misconceptions about homeschool, and so I asked her if she would mind if I went ahead and did the same. Her video is really excellent, so please make sure that you check it out. I'll have that link down below. Now the first misconception that I would like to share is that homeschool parents feel like they are doing the right thing 100% of the time. Nope, definitely not true. I know that all of us somewhere along the way have really questioned if what we are doing is the right thing for our children. I know personally that lots of homeschool families out there have had some really difficult trials that they have gone through, and during those times they've certainly questioned whether or not homeschooling is the right thing. And there are lots of other reasons to question it as well. You're wondering if your children are really learning what they need to learn, if they're making enough friends, if your family is balanced enough. There are so many reasons to be concerned. And while a lot of us definitely feel like we are doing the right thing and this is what we want to do, it doesn't mean that we feel confident about it. Number 2, all homeschool families are big families. That is obviously not true. There are lots of homeschool families who have one child, and that's great. That means that they are able to focus all of their energy on that one child, and they probably get a lot of work done. So while it may seem like all homeschool families are big families, it's really not true. I know that in the area that I live, it seems to me that the majority of the families here have 2 children, which makes sense considering that in the United States, most families have around 2 children or even less than that. So for homeschool families, the same thing applies. Number 3 is a little bit of a funny one. I know that there is a misconception that all homeschool families just sit around in their pajamas all day. Well, that is definitely not true, and that is certainly not true for my family. Every single morning when we are about to start school, I make sure that all of my children are dressed and ready to go. They have responsibilities that they need to take care of every single morning. They make their beds, they get dressed, they brush their teeth, they do their chores, they have breakfast, and then we start school. So we are definitely not the type of family that sits around in our PJs all day. We do have PJ days sometimes where we'll kind of like take it more relaxed and just be comfortable. But as a rule, we really do not do school in our PJs, and I get dressed too. Obviously there are some days when I'm probably wearing yoga pants and a shirt, but that's okay. I still kind of look presentable, make myself look decent, and I expect the same thing from my kids. Number 4, you have to know every subject to be able to homeschool your kids. Well, that is definitely not true at all, especially in this day and age. You can basically homeschool your kid, and that means that they are just doing online programs. So you can homeschool them and basically have hardly any accountability at all, which is pretty amazing. Back when I was a child and people were homeschooling, they had to kind of pull everything together on their own, and they really were teaching almost every single thing. So it was much more difficult than it is now. Nowadays we have co-ops, we have cottage schools, we have online schools, we have online courses, and there are so many ways for a child to learn. They do not have to be taught only by their parents or their grandparents or whoever is their instructor. They can be taught by a variety of people. We did Classical Conversations for several years, and so they were taught by their tutors at Classical Conversations. My children are also doing an online math course, so this year I am not accountable to do their math at all, which has been amazing for me because I have 2 younger children who are basically still learning the basics. And so it has been great that my 4th and 5th grader are able to just go on the computer and do their math, and then I get a report of what they do. So you definitely do not need to know everything to be able to homeschool your kids. And last but not least, a common misconception is that we love being with our kids all the time. Well, I do love being with my kids. I honestly do. That is probably one of my favorite things about homeschooling them. But I'm an introvert, and I need my alone time. I need it every single day, or else mama goes a little bit crazy. And so I make sure that they have their quiet time and I have my quiet time, and we get some space from one another. I think it's important for everybody to get that time just for themselves, to be able to kind of recharge and do the things that they like to do. Obviously, we have 5 very different children with very different ages, and so they obviously do not have the same interests. And so it's really good for them to be able to have that time set apart where they can do the things that they enjoy. While we may love being home with our kids, there are times when it's really difficult. I had all 5 of my children in 8 years, and along the way I had 3 miscarriages as well. And so for me, there were some really, really hard times, especially when I was grieving a loss, and I I honestly didn't really want to be around them all the time. And so even though you love them and you love being with them, there are definitely going to be moments where you're just going to need that space, and that's okay. It doesn't mean you don't love your kids. It's okay to not love being with them all the time. And let me add to that there are just some amazing things about being able to be home with them all the time that really makes it worth it. I mean, you get to see when they learn how to read for the first time, when they are struggling with something and they're having such a hard time, and you get to see that light bulb moment when they finally get it. And you get to cuddle with them and read with them and watch movies and do crafts and go on field trips. And there are so many things that you get to do as a homeschool parent that if your kids were going to another school, you just wouldn't be able to do. So even if you don't love every moment, there are so many moments to love. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please make sure to check out Ashley's video. Like I said, it will be in the description box down below. Please subscribe for more videos like this, and have a great day.